When we think about how to get somewhere, we really just take out our phones and check Google Maps, right? Well, in the case of maps and their printmaking, their dissemination tells the story of India's past and its colonial trade. NDTV reporter Radhika Bordia has the story from Goa's Serendipity Arts Festival. As Britain continued to map its empire, both geographically and politically, marking its consolidation was this: Aaron Arrowsmith's massive and detailed map of India from 1882. A striking 9-foot map from the Kalakriti archives used by poet and cultural theorist Ranjit Hoskote in terra cognita loomed large in an acclaimed exhibition, part of the Serendipity Arts Festival in Goa.
This is the 1822 map of Afghanistan to Burma and from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. And it's in great detail. It shows the occupancy and the dominance of British in India. I mean, it's very overwhelming when you stand in front of it and look such a big map, and it gives you a very good feeling that it gives you a scale, this thing that India is such a big country, because we all used to now seeing maps only on our smartphones, which is just maximum 5 inches.
The exhibition actually brings together 4 different strands that I've been preoccupied with for a long time. One is the narrative of the map. What does cartography really mean in terms of how we respond to territory? What is the relationship between fantasy and science when we represent territory or belonging or location? So that's a very important strand in the exhibition. Then there's the history of print modernity in India. So I date that to, I take 1556 as a kind of starting point, because that's when the printing press arrived in Goa. It was the first time the Western style printing press arrived in Asia. The engraving, the lithograph, the chromolithograph, the bulletin, the gazette, the pamphlet, all of these forms of print modernity are very important from my point of view, because they tell us about the debates and discussions by which we've come to this present point.
Prints from diverse sources, pamphlets, cartoons, advertisements, explored the colonial encounter, provoked thought on how perspectives are formed, represented, and disseminated.
Before printmaking, maps were basically manuscript and made by hand, and it was only among a few people that you could have it. But after printmaking, it was available for a larger section of people, which changed the whole way the world was seen in the 16th century and the 17th century, which otherwise wouldn't have been possible without printmaking coming into effect.
And I would want to honor the memory of those exhibitions, because they represent a time when printmakers in India came together and found solidarity. They found articulation as a community. Because for a very long time before that, printmaking had been somehow derided as a minor form or an inferior form. And there was a fixation, which seems incredible now to us, but there was a fixation on the oil painting. And I often think that what we've done is to make a jump cut from one generation's fixation on oil painting and the modern to another generation's fixation on the contemporary and the immaterialized artwork, the video, the performance, the installation, the archive, and all of this. So what that jump cut does is to produce a kind of hiatus where there are many other kinds of artistic practices which don't really get the attention they deserve. So for me, it was important that this moment in printmaking, somewhere between the modern and the contemporary, it was important that this be voiced.
Baiju Parthan's 58-part photographic installation, based on the Abe Faria statue, tied in with the location of the exhibition to reinforce a theme that runs through the exhibition, one of transcultural politics, a word that Hoskote, through terra cognita, brought to life and made easier to understand.
I chose these rooms for my exhibition within the Serendipity Festival, because there's a transcultural politics, there's a story about global finance, and there's a story about what colonialism might have meant under the sign of complicity here. And that's why those windows are so important. This is the Viceroy's office. This is where the Ashtadhoda India was ruled from. Outside there is the Mamai Kamat house, which that family was extremely influential and important. They financed the empire. And then there's the Abe Faria statue, which memorializes a figure who was born in Kandoli but made his reputation in Europe as a researcher, an occultist, a scientist. He was one of those persons of many parts. So it's a way of also reactivating the memory of a building, the memory of a neighborhood, things that tend to be eclipsed by the everyday. So this exhibition is also in part about research. It's in part about activating latent memory.